If you are a podcast guest, if you're working with a podcast booking firm or looking to work with one, listen to this message. It's important. You see, this is the dirty little secret of the podcast booking industry. Do you want to know the secret? It's called conflict of interest. Now, let me explain. What if you were a professional athlete? You'd hired this agent to represent you, to get you the best deal. And you get there after the signing and you realize this agent is also being paid by the team that just signed me. Would you feel a little bit betrayed? Would you feel a little bit used or pissed? Yeah, definitely. Or what if you were in a real estate deal and you worked with your real estate agent and all of a sudden you got to the closing and you got surprised that your real estate agent that you thought was working for you was actually working for the seller also. Man, that'd be a surprise. And in fact, in both those examples, there'd be people that would be sued. There'd be people that would lose their license, or they'd be kicked out of the agency. But podcasting is different. You see, it's a new industry. There's not a lot of rules. There's not a lot of regulations. I like that, but it also means the buyer needs to beware. And I learned this personally, right? Early on, back in 2014, I had hired a booking company to book me on podcasts. And they did what they said. They booked me on the podcast, but I should have asked more questions. You see, there was a podcast they had booked me on. It was called Fatherhood is Leadership. Neat podcast, right? But my target audience that I wanted to talk to were entrepreneurs. I was at that time talking about inbound marketing. So I wanted to talk to business owners, especially digital business owners, e-commerce. And all of a sudden I get put on this new podcast called Fatherhood is Leadership. And I asked them about it and they said, trust us. This will be a great show. So I gave up about an hour and a half of a Saturday morning to do this interview. And I got halfway through it and I'm like, this is going to have no value to me. The host was very nice and I was there and I wanted to bring value. It wasn't his fault. At the end, after the recording, we start talking and I find out that he is working with this same company and that he paid them to find guests for him. So we both had paid to be there. And honestly, we both probably weren't the best fits. And so needless to say, I was surprised. I was pissed. And we had that discussion. So I went to the principal of the agency, explained my concern over this. And the response was, well, we'll give you that interview for free. Well, so if I catch you doing something that wasn't in my best interest, your answer is just, we'll give it to you for free. I felt like if I can't trust you, I don't want to work with you. And, we parted ways there. And I just looked at that and am amazed by how many people get surprised by this. Now some people will say, well, just disclose it, openly disclose it. Why don't you do that at Interview Valet? It'd be a really easy way to actually double our revenue, probably triple our profits, right? It's the same amount of work, charge both sides. But I don't want to go there. I don't want to be anywhere near where there could even be a potential conflict of interest. We serve the hosts. We provide them great guests that show up on time, prepared, have great equipment. But everything we do for the host is free, right? Our fiduciary responsibility, our client is the podcast guest. And part of our mission is it's got to be for the betterment of all. But I never want there to be a choice or a question of who are you working for? Whose best interest was this for? And I think that's important. It's that question of, are you trying to do a transaction and make as much as you can on every transaction? Or are you looking to be a relationship, a long-term customer relationship? And I look at that, and for any partner that I work with, I want to be able to trust them. And some of them will say, well, you can QA every podcast we put you on. We'll allow you to do that. Well, I look at that as like, if I have to QA my doctor or my lawyer or my accountant, If I don't trust them to have my best interest at heart, then it's not a relationship that I want to be in. They're the experts. They should bring me the best things. I shouldn't have to double check their work all the time. Now, I wish I had asked that question when I first started. And sometimes we always talk about the frequently asked questions. Well, I think we should do the frequently unasked questions, right? What are those questions that I wish I would have asked? And I put together a list of 10 of them, and it's like the frequently unasked questions of podcast guesting. And they're important questions. And I put those up. And if you want to see the questions, if you want to see our answers to the questions, just go to interviewvalet.com/top 10. Those are the top 10 frequently unasked questions. And I challenge you, if you're a podcast guest working with an agency, look at those questions and say, do I know the answers to these? If you're looking for an agency, ask for those answers. And if you're a booking agency already, God love you. There's so much demand in this market. We need everybody helping, but you should be able to honestly answer those questions. And not only that, proactively answer those questions so that people start knowing. I had a boss in the Navy, Gary Duncan, and when Lieutenant Commander Duncan started with only kids and clowns like surprises, which one do you take me for? You knew it wasn't going to be a good discussion. We, as business owners, as merchants, as servants, as professionals, should not have surprises. It shouldn't be treating clients like kids and clowns. The other day, I was talking with a new client that we had, and he had a different vision of business, and I loved it. It's not being an entrepreneur to maximizing every transaction. He said, I want to be the merchant that comes into town and is welcomed, has new ideas, new products. Everybody is excited to see them. He said, I don't want to be the carpetbagger that is scared to go back into a town because they might get lynched. I think that's a great look and a great way to look at business and what we're doing here. So I'd encourage you, check out the top 10 frequently unasked questions. If you don't know the answers, make sure you ask. And if you're a merchant, make sure you tell the people. Nobody likes a surprise. Go to interviewvalet.com/top 10 and share down below. Is there any questions that I missed that you would have liked asked there? If there's any questions that you have about how we do business or about the industry, I think when we all are open in what we do, what our business model is, that serves everyone. I hope you agree.
Has obscurity become your biggest problem? Stages have disappeared. Conferences are canceled. In-person meetings seem like a distant memory. Your prospective customers still need you. They still need to hear from you. Stop trying to break through the noise. It's not working. Get in on the conversation. Get featured as the expert guest on targeted podcast interviews. Podcasts are hot. Listenership is up 20% in 2020. Podcasts are the new digital stage. Leverage other people's established platform as a featured guest. Since 2015, Interview Valet has helped over 500 leading brands get featured on over 20,000 podcast episodes. You're the guest. We take care of the rest. Stop being the best kept secret. Find out how we can help you leverage targeted podcast interviews to get heard, to grow your brand, to grow your sales, to be recognized as the market leader.